Good evening everyone and welcome along to TTML F1. We are here for Season 5, Round 9 of the Championship as we take on the Brazilian Grand Prix from the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. My name is James Hay, going to be taking you to the stream as always on a Thursday night. I was going to say on a Tuesday night. On a Thursday night. Nobody joining me in the commentary box. We don't have Tom for graphics either. And we haven't actually got the task system either set up as well, because I've just completely forgot about it and it's gone over my head completely. So, it's a bit of a mismatch, but we are here tonight, as I say, in Brazil, round 9 of the championship, about to begin very soon indeed. We are getting the drivers in. It looks as if we're going to have around 15, 16, maybe even 17 drivers tonight, which is really good. And again, an improvement on the attendance that we've seen a couple of weeks ago. Looking at the standings first of all, of course, Red Bull, let's have a look at the driver's standings first of all. Harry Banks leading the way, 169 points, Jorg in second on 141, and that means that Harry Banks can be crowned champion here tonight if he outscores Jorg. No matter how many points he outscores Jorg, 28 points currently the gap between Harry Banks and Jorg. So, what Harry Banks basically needs to do is score 3 or 4 points more than Jorg out on track, and if he wins, and Jorg is second, then obviously it is going to be a whole different kettle of fish, and Harry Banks will of course win the championship at the end of tonight. It is very likely he will win it. Isotop again third on 127 points as well. Tom in fourth on 114. Simply Superman in fifth on 111. Noisy in sixth. He's been having good races recently on 108 points. Break FN in seventh on 104. Hazara in eighth on 102. Perpetuum in ninth on 85. And then down to the top 10 rounds out Kazizel on 58 points. Wedge, Chris, Frankie Fro, Funky Chicken and Vola Kongan run off the top 15. Tiago Mashiro, Tionis, Lynx and Benny round off the 20 drivers that have so far scored points this season. As I say, Harry Banks leading the way, Jorgen second. Harry Banks can wrap up the championship tonight. By my calculations, it's something like 31 points basically that he needs to try and outscore. But in that case, because there's 31 points available next week, he only has to score 3 or 4 points and he is made champion basically tonight. As long as Jorg doesn't win and Harry Banks DNFs, then we get a whole different scenario going in towards next week, of course, for the season finale in Abu Dhabi. As I say, really hope that we are going to have a great race tonight, and hopefully it is going to be fantastic. As I say, 17 drivers awaiting the guys. 17 drivers, I should say, are waiting on the track. Hopefully we're going to be getting going very soon indeed, and hopefully, as I say, it is going to be cracking racing. Now, running you through the constructors standings as well. Red Bull on 273 points, Aston Martin in second on 249. A bit more difficult in terms of the constructors. However, if Red Bull outscore Aston Martin by a good amount of points tonight, they're probably likely to be crowned champions as well. McLaren in third on 181, Alfa Romeo in fourth on 150, Mercedes in fifth on 146, Ferrari in 6th on 102, Alpine 7th on 85, then Williams in 8th on 32, Haas in 9th on 13, and AlphaTauri in 10th on 0 points. And hopefully AlphaTauri, with Benny at the helm tonight for AlphaTauri, hopefully they may be picking up their first point score of the season. Remember, points go up to 19th position, so every single position apart from last position and 20th pays up points. Minimum you're going to be getting tonight is 3 points, and honestly, that's them 3 points that could wrap up the championship either for you or for your constructors team. And hopefully, as I say, we're going to be seeing some great action, of course, out on track at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, and of course 15 turns awaiting this great track with the 3 DRS zones, 1 down the start finish, 2 DRS zones I should say, 1 down the start finish straight and then 1 down in towards the Cida del Lago at turn number 4. Plenty Brazilian corner names, I've got to say, that I've tried to pronounce in the past and I've failed miserably. Hopefully it is going to be like that tonight, and hopefully, as I say, we're going to be getting some great action. And as we go into qualifying, I know F3, and Mike certainly wanted me to mention this, 55-year anniversary since the Aberfan disaster. The Aberfan disaster, of course, happened many years before I was actually born, probably many years before you were born as well, and obviously a big tribute going on. It's the 55th anniversary of the Aberfan disaster, and it's one of those things where it is an absolute horrible tragedy, but a lot of good has actually came out of it, and the community remembers every single year in terms of the Aberfan disaster. And as I say, hopefully we're going to be getting some really, really good racing. 17 drivers are waiting on the guys out on track tonight, and it looks as if we've got a bit of a glitch on the right-hand side where the pit garages are. I'm not sure if that's actually supposed to be like that, or if the tarmac is supposed to be the same along the pit wall, but that is the first time I've ever seen marshals standing on the right-hand side of the pit lane, pretty much as if they're going to be sunken into the ground. That is not a good thing to start off the night with. Absolutely terrible. But 17 drivers, as I say, going out on track. It should be a simple one-stop strategy in terms of the strategy around here. Softs and mediums. I've only driven the track once, and that was literally before coming live on stream. Funky Chicken is going to be the first man to join us out on track. He's on a set of medium compound tyres, of course, in the Alfa Romeo. And he has had a really good round of results recently, and he's probably one of the drivers where Funky Chicken, obviously, he is going to be one of those guys where he could actually fend off the guys. He qualified first. Obviously, pole position last week he qualified. And honestly, it was such a good performance from Funky Chicken. If he can convert that form once again, from that last qualifying session to this qualifying session, who knows what will probably happen. It is going to be probably around a second separating everyone out on track as well. As I say, this is the top division. This is TTML F1 that you are tuning in for. And hopefully we are going to do everything a little bit of justice out on track. And now coming through in towards Jun Sao, Funky Chicken about to start us off on the slap. Kimi Räikkönen famously got lost there in 2012 on the right hand side, and now we ride on board with Funky Chicken as he now comes across the line to start us off on this lap. Opens up the DRS, and you can take the thin line going down through. You can gain a little bit of speed, and Funky Chicken already raging 200 miles an hour on the road towards turn 1, and now through turn 1 through the centre S's of 1, then through 2, and then through the left hand of turn 3. Very nicely done. He could have taken a bit more curve there coming through turn 1, but Funky Chicken takes a deep line. Now running down towards the seat of the Largo at turn 4. 16.8 through the first sector is not too bad. It's by the middle and final sectors. He will really lose the car, and actually nearly lose the car. Coming out of turn 4, very, very difficult corner that to see the Largo through turn 5, and then in towards Pinheiro at turn through Ferradura at turn 6 towards Laranja. Now at turn number 8, Laranja of course meaning orange, quite literally within the Spanish language. And Funky Chicken now on a lap. Coming out of Pinheiro at turn 9, really all over the place. Cortavello now at turn 10. Runs through, coming through turn 10, and now the Brit on a good lap here, coming through turn 11, and then towards Jun Sao at turn 12, 52.7 through the middle sector. We've already got a yellow flag. There's a Mercedes getting out the way. I think that might be either Tom or Tiago, probably Tiago I'm thinking, who has backed off on his lap. Funky Chicken, however, running towards the line. Should be a 108, 109 to start off with, I think, on the set of mediums. Yeah, 109.5 from Funky Chicken. That didn't look like a most comfortable lap, to be honest. And in fact, most of the guys are on a set of medium compound size. Frankie Fro just coming across the line there to set a lap time, didn't get one in. Tom was the one that was invalidated. It's actually Tiago that is on a lap. Isotopic goes quickest with the 108 flat, and that's more like it in terms of the lap times we should be seeing on a set of medium compound tyres. Tiago, however, on this set of soft compound tyres, 51.1 through the middle sector. How will that lie with Isotopic? I think he's a couple of tenths off that possibly, but now the Frenchman coming up the hill through turn 14 and then towards turn 15. Noisy goes second. Tionas now goes quickest with the 107.4, and now Tiago comes to the line and he just barely goes ahead of Isotopic. About 2 tenths improvement there. Tiago goes third. Perpetuum though goes quickest with a 106.9. So the German, the defending champion, has had a wretched season, to be honest. He's had a few did not start as well, but Perpetuum 4 tenths clear of Break FN, who had a very good qualifying session last week. He's there in second. Jonas there in third. Tiago in fourth. Not surprised actually that a majority of the guys are on a set of medium compound tyres. We're on board with, oh, it's Harry Banks loses it into the wall coming through turn 2 out of the ZRS. Don't think that was intentional at all. He lost the car, just right on board with him to start off on a lap again. And Harry Banks invalidates as well, coming out of turn 3. If you run wide there, you will pick up a 10-second penalty in the race. But Harry Banks losses from wing, championship leader, not off to the best start here tonight in Brazil. Right on board though with TTG Tom, very quick man on a set of medium compound size, and I mean he's a 51 flat through the middle sector. And in terms of Thiago's lap time, 107.8 is where he wants to try and aim for, the top of the medium runners at this stage. York there in 6th position. Tom, however, now running towards the line, and we'll see him running towards the line now. And it's 107.7, so he actually goes quicker than Thiago. And this track is a bit like Austria in terms of the limited improvements that we'll see as Benny goes second with a 107.1. Perpetuum though out on top, Benny second, Volakongan in third. But yeah, what I was just going to come on to there is it's a bit like Austria, this track, where qualifying, obviously it's going to be really tight. It is going to be so tight in terms of qualifying. You're barely going to get any improvements towards the latter end of the session. And that really means that the guys have got to put in good laps in early. And that's why I think, on a set of medium compound tyres, it's something like 8/10 to a second in terms of the time you can actually find. So Tom might be in a little bit of trouble, because Perpetuum's laps are 106.9, Lynx is coming through the middle sector with a 50.9, and the Williams now coming through turn 13, and then in towards 14, and Lynx, of course, really had a really good race, I've got to say. Obviously, in America last week, and now Lynx actually backs out coming into the pit lane. The first of the night, probably not the last either, because it'll just start up on a lap. So has Mashiro. I think Mashiro's been out there quite a while, actually, to try and set a lap. But if you are just tuning in, Perpetuum out on top, Benny in second, Volakongan in third, and Perpetuum now further out on top with the 106.8. The Alpine coming to the end of his lap there. Goes through turn 1 and 2 like Hamilton did when he had contact back here in 2012. And Perpetuum leading the way. 0.3 of a second. Is that enough of a gap to breach? I think so. I think somebody like Kazizel could be on a good lap. And now, speaking of Kazizel, he gets out of the way. Noisy gets out of the way just in front of him. And now Kazizel comes through turn 9 at Pinheiro, in towards turn 10 at Laranhat. Perpetuum out on top, Benny second, Volakongan in third with 7 minutes gone in qualifying, because it'll just find the car, the Ferrari, out through the middle sector. But the quickest middle sector we've rolled on board with so far, 50.3, Purple in the middle sector, might be indicative of his time, goes very wide coming through turn 13, and now in towards 14. Perpetuum still out on top. Where is Kazizel going to feature in all of this? I think he's going to be around Volakongan, Break FN sort of areas. Mashiro goes fourth, comes across the line, and actually Kazizel goes second with 107 flats. He's about a tenth quicker than Benny. Looks like the sun is just beginning to break through the clouds as well, but you can run aboard there with the Alpine of Perpetuum. Lynx has retired into the pit lane, so obviously feels he's not going to improve out on his lap, so Perpetuum out on top, Kazizel in second, Benny in third. And there's the Japanese man of Mashiro as well, 107.2. He went fifth with that lap as well. If you want to now start on a set of soft compound tyres, I think Isotopic just had a really squirrely moment coming out of Pinheiro at turn 9, then to Laranhau at turn 10, and then diving down and towards Junsao at turn 12. And he's 8/10 up actually on this lap, so Isotopic looking quite quick. If he can find another couple of tenths in this final sector, he could be challenging Kazizel and Perpetuum, possibly for the top spot, as now Isotopic, the Norwegian, comes running toward the line. We've got Nosy and Jorg also on lap times as well. Isotopic to the line. He goes fourth, right in between Benny and Volakongan. Very, very limited running to try and improve. Jorg is a 10th up. Noisy is 9/10 up, however. So the Aston Martin clearly improving now, as the Williams, I think, dives into the pit lane on the left-hand side. Noisy then to the line, and he goes up to 8th. So good improvement there by Noisy. Jorg 6/10 up coming out the middle sector at Junsao. As now he comes through past the Speedo DOS boxes. Bit of a mouthful to say, especially when you've had a drink of water. Speedo DOS boxes coming out of turn 14 through turn 15 to the line. And Jorg actually goes quicker than his teammate by nearly a tenth and a half. Jorg there into 6th, Mashiro there in 7th. Break FM also on a lap as well. 700's up, Purple in the middle sector, so probably Purple out of everyone in the middle sector. Takes a Kimi Raikkonen sort of line, backs off, I think. And I think Break FN, he does back off and might have realised that I was right on board with him coming through Junsao there, and he backs off into the pit lane. So that's the right thing to do. Don't want to be setting a invalid lap, to be honest. Isotopic still there in 4th, Jorg in 6th. Tom, however, coming through the first sector. Let's see what the Mercedes man can do. He's now coming through turn 5. And then in toward Pinheiro at, into the approach to Ferradura at turn 6, then through turn 7, and then at the top of the hill through Laranha at turn 8, and then Pinheiro at turn 9, and Cotobello at turn 10. See, these names are very hard to pronounce. I think I've already called Laranha at turn 10 twice already. So Tom now coming through in towards Cotobello at turn 10. And 107.7 is his current lap. From a set of mediums now, transitioning, as I say, to a set of soft compound tyres. And he's around Kazizel's sort of middle sector, so that's a good middle sector from Tom, 6/10 up, and he's going to be going around Benny, Kazizel sort of area at this stage. I don't think he's going to challenge Perpetuum unless he backed off on this lap. And Tom, running towards the line, we know how quick he is in qualifying, comes to the line, actually beats Perpetuum. I'll eat my own words happily there. Tom out on top of 106.7, Perpetuum there in second, who's just came out of the pit lane at 106.8, and Kazizel in third with a 107 flat. Benny's has just invalidated coming through turn 1 and 2. Volokongan also invalid, but I think he went 6th position. He was actually on the lap, actually, Volokongan, 107.1. Frankie Frobel, right on board with him. He's coming through the final sector now. The Australian has had a very good couple of weeks since joining here in TTML F1. Runs to the line, and he goes 4th, and he's actually behind his teammate by only 0.02 of a second. So not a bad lap there by Frankie Frobel at all. He's got an Alfa Romeo in front of him. That is simply Superman, just on up on a lap, and that was a spin, I think, actually, from Frankie Frobel as he came through turn 1. Just a little bit of the marbles being kicked up, but simply Superman on a lap, 16.8 through the first sector. Probably not one to ride on board with. Chionis is on a lap, I think, unless he's in AI mode. Looks like he's going slightly pedestrian as he slides the car coming through turn 10, and that is him over and done with in through the middle sector. And Tionis spins on the infield. He's got to get the car going again, and otherwise he gets disqualified. He's got a McLaren just in front of him, maybe slot into this spot here, and he's got to wait for the Alfa Romeo to come through, and that I think is simply Superman who's on the lap. Yeah, simply Superman. 51.1 through the middle sector is not too bad on the set of mediums. Tom out on top, double Perpetuum second, Kazizel in third. And with 6.5 minutes to go in qualifying, it is how it is at this moment in time. Simply Superman, the Irishman, who's had a very good qualifying sessions last couple of weeks, comes to the line, goes 13th, 107.7, and that was around sort of Tom's sort of lap time on a set of mediums, so not bad at all. And Simply Superman, on just set of soft compound tyres, he's actually been a revelation, I've got to say, the last 2 or 3 weeks. And the Irishman will be hoping for a fantastic result, of course. Tom though out on top, Perpetuum in second. I think Kazizel has just started up on a lap. He's now coming to the end of the middle sector, or towards the end of the middle sector, through the top of the hill at Luanha at turn 8. The highest point on the track this as he dives down through turn 9. And then in towards turn number 10. Through Cotavello. Just locks up the car slightly, gets the car rotated in nicely. Now Kazizel coming through turn 11 and then towards Untitled turn 12. Benny has just crashed up ahead. It's a 10th up in the middle sector, however, from Kazizel. And there is Benny off into the wall coming out of turn 12 at Junsao. So Benny not improving above 5th at this stage. Kazizel, however, is he going to try and back up the lap time from Perpetuum and Tom? Runs to the line. And he does, and it's a 106.6. Good lap time by Kazizel. Finds 3.5 tenth improvement, especially more in that final sector. And Kazizel out on top, Tom in second, Perpetuum in third. Isotopics just set a 10th improvement as well, 107 flat. Break FN has just started up on a lap. Noisy is back into the pit lane, so we'll focus on Break FM in the Red Bull. And actually, I think he's just came off a lap, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Break FN must be off a lap because he either got impeded with on starting his lap, or he just came off one. So I think 107 flat might have been the improvement there. So Break FN up into 6th position as well. Perpetuum still not on a lap, or on a lap of validation at the minute. 106.8 is a very difficult time to try and improve on. With 4.5 minutes to go, just over that, because this lad on top, Tom in second, Perpetuum in third, will now ride on board with Perpetuum for a lap of the Autotrauma Jose Carlos Paches. We now come through turn 1 at the centre S's, through turn 2, and then towards turn number 3, and now running down in towards the Descida del Lago at turn 4, down the Metroposta this is, 16.5 through the first sector, not too bad. Another German carries a lot of speed coming through turn 4, almost like my line coming through there. Now through turn 5, and then in towards Pinheiro at turn 6. Now through turn 7, and then in towards Luanha at turn 8, and invalidate on the curb coming through Luanha. And he'll be disappointed with that, because it was looking like shaping up to be a really good lap that from the German. And he is only a 10th and a half off Kazizel, but it is Kazizel out on top, Tom in second, Perpetuum in third. Volokongan and Mashiro just started up on laps as well. Harry Banks, however, is coming to the end of the middle sector, 50.7 through the middle sector from Harry Banks. And he is going to be one of the drivers competing on the 24 Hours of F1 event in a few weeks' time. That is towards the end of December, that is. Harry Banks over to the line. 11th position, 107.2. One gets the feeling that he might be on the pace tonight. And his nearest championship rival, of course, Jorg, who is on a lap. He's in 7th currently, 107 flat. Can he try and improve? Volokonga Mashiro also on laps. Mashiro, I think, is backed off. Clearly not happy with the middle sector. The Japanese man has backed off. Volokonga is coming through the section as well. Jorg has backed off this as well. So Jorg, running low on fuel, has backed off this lap. That means we're going board with Volokonga. He's 1,000th down coming out of the first sector. He's 2/10 up, however, coming out of the middle sector. And Volokonga has had good qualifying before. Remember in Belgium, all of those races ago, about 3 or 4 races ago now, he had a very good qualifying session, and Volokonga, the Norwegian, will be hoping to try and replicate the same here tonight in Brazil. Comes to the line, and it's a 107 flat, and he does improve 800ths of a second, but that 800ths of a second is enough for him to go from 9th position on the grid up into 5th. So Volokonga now 107 flat. But look at how close the times are, because Zizzle, Tom and Perpetuum, you could argue, are in a different class compared to everyone else. It's like a bit like Formula 1 and Formula 1.5 at this stage. Thiago is just started up on a lap as well. The Frenchman there coming through turn number 4 and then through turn 5. Because Zizzle out on top, Tom in 2nd, Perpetuum in 3rd position. And looking good so far in terms of the lap times that we've been set. As now Thiago comes through, turn number 8 of the Ranhat. Takes 4th gear coming through there, trying to get the car extra rotation through the curb. Very nicely done indeed from the Frenchman. Now through turn 10. 107.804. He's 1,000th up Funky Chicken's lap times. It's about a 10th off Simply Superman. And he is a 2/10ths up basically in the middle sector coming out of Junsao. I think he's not really pushing on this lap as Thiago. So I wouldn't be surprised if he actually decides maybe to come into the pits. No, he's going to continue on. So Thiago, I think that's his session run as Volokonga has retired into the pit lane. Thiago barely improves ahead of Funky Chicken. 7,000th improvement. Disappointing, I think, from his perspective. Frankie Fro on a lap. Mashiro also on a lap. And we're right on board with them both as they come through. Perpetuum just starting up on one as well. So we're really beginning to see the nitty-gritty out on track. Right on board with Frankie Fro. Coming through the end of the middle sector. And the Australian, he's had a very good recent round of results. He's 1,700 up, purple in the middle sector. But, and Aston Martin is off through the first sector. I think that's either Noisy or York, both on outlaps. So I'm imagine it's one of them both. Frankie Fro now coming through the final technical corner out on track. Through turn 15, the King on the run to the line. And he goes 4th. Good improvement there. 500 improvement, but still goes 4th. Perpetuum invalidated on the lap. So he's not going to be improving unless he's got time for another one. Tom through the first sector. I think that was a purple first sector possibly. Mashiro's back into the pit lane. So we'll now focus on board with Tom. 106.7 is his current best. And you know Tom, he can go quick in qualifying. However, he won't be going quick now because he's just made a mistake coming out of turn 7. And that means Tom is not going to be improving. 106.7 Kazizzle guaranteed technically pole position unless somebody can come steaming out the pack. Jonas could be the one to watch out for. He's 3/10 up coming out the middle sector. And now 3/10 up as he now runs toward the line. Noisy just preparing up for the lap. He's got very limited time. I think he's the last to come across the line. In fact, Jonas now running to the line. Does he try and match for pole position? No. 107 flat goes 5th. Hit the curb on the inside there, or hit the wall I should say, on the inside. Harry Banks is 500 up. Noisy was 9/10 up. I think he's just started up on a lap, however. So the lap times really that we've got to ride on board with. Kazizzle coming through the middle sector. Let's ride on board with him. As he's now coming through, we've got we've got Simply Superman coming through the middle sector. We'll ride on board with him. 0.5 of a second ahead of his time at the minute. And you know Simply Superman, he can improve. He has got a slow Ferrari in front. He backs off actually this lap. He just downs into 6th gear. And now Simply Superman running to the line will not really improve his position. 14th position today, I think he's happy with that. Harry Banks is a 10th up, coming through the end of the middle sector. Let's ride on board with him. Can Harry Banks try and get the likes of Kazizzle? Kazizzle doesn't improve his lap time. Isotopic's now 2nd, Tom in 3rd, and Harry Banks has run out of fuel, I think, coming to the line. He just backs off his lap time. Noisy, I think, is in the same boat. Funky Chicken goes 14th. It's only Noisy we're waiting on. Can he improve ahead of the guys? Noisy backs off. And he does improve on his lap time. He goes P12 with that. So Noisy goes P12, but still out of the top 10. I think out of the top 10 is where you want to be at the end of qualifying. And it is Kazizzle out on top. Look at the top 3. Perpetuum actually came in with a very late lap there. and the German goes second. So Kazizel out on top, Perpetuum there in second, Isotopic in third, 600ths of a second, Zebra in the top three. I did warn you it will be quite close. Tom in fourth, with Jorg in fifth, Frankie Fro in sixth, Jonas in seventh, Bolokongan in eighth, Break FN in ninth, and Benny running off the top 10. Mashiro, Noisy, Harry Banks starting in 13th position with Jorg up in fifth. Massive gain for Jorg if he can convert that from the qualifying into the race. If he can convert that, he's got a really good chance of overturning Harry Banks here. Harry Banks down in 13th, as I say. Funky Chicken, Simply Superman, top 15 separated by 8.5 tenths. Thiago and Lynx not getting a lap time in there. Lynx, he's starting right from the back of the field. And unfortunately, I think Benny is actually starting in the top 10 after retiring in the pit lane. Obviously not making it round for an extra lap. So he retires, and I don't think he is in the bottom half of the field, the bottom 7 drivers, basically from 11th down to 17th. So again, we come in towards qualifying, and once again, really hope you're enjoying the stream, by the way. It is just me by myself, if you have just tuned in now, and really appreciate that you are joining me, instead of trying to join either Bryn, Mike and Storm, or Luke Etheridge and Pepsi Freak for F2 and F3. And actually, right on board, qualifying has just nearly finished in F3. Wesker's currently out on top, Cosby second, Scooper in third, if you do want to ride on board with that. And F2 as well, which seems to be the most, the biggest in terms of the graphics and everything. And Luke Etheridge obviously on commentary. Neymar currently out on top, but that is the end of qualifying. Catch the end of qualifying for that if you want to. Neymar out on top, as I say. Nicholas second, Louis Rocks in third. However, we come here for F1 action, and we're about to begin onto the formation lap, and we'll see what everyone in terms of strategies on. Obviously the top 10 starting on that set of soft compound of tyres, and everyone else you would imagine is going to be starting either mediums or hard. Particular pit stop strategy says lap 13 to 16, pretty much nailed on I think for that. Pretty much, I think, between lap 10 and 12 is where you should be pitting in. I've seen that on the last game, certainly before. The tyres really do like to not wear out around this track. And as you can see, off to the left-hand side of the graphics, because this allowed on top Perpetuum second, Isotopic in third, Tom in fourth, Jorg in fifth. Of course, top 10 qualifying, as I say, on that side of soft compound tyres. You've got to feel sorry for Benny. Benny crashed out retired out the session earlier on in qualifying. He's starting 10th. With everyone else behind him on that set of medium compounded tyres, and as long as he gets ingrained in that DRS train, it's going to be so difficult for everyone on that set of mediums to try and come through the field. You've got to favour the likes of Kazizel, Perpetuum, Isotopic in the early stages of this race to try and really break out a gap, to try and really dominate this race basically from the front. And obviously it's all dependent really on what starts everyone gets, and of course the dirty side of the grid is towards the outside line as opposed to the inside line on this track, and the inside line obviously is where the marbles normally degrade, but on the first lap you tend to see the marbles on the outside of the track, and that's because nobody has done any sort of lap times before this, because Zizzle nearly takes a Kimi Raikkonen line coming through turn 11 and then through turn 12 of Jun Sao, because Zizzle out on top, Perpetuum second, Isotopic in third, and the guys are now coming up the hill in towards the Sabido Dust boxes at turn 14, and then through turn 15 at Arqui Bancadas. Yes, that corner. Because there's a lad on top though, Perpetuum second, Isotopic in third. We're about to begin for the race, and I'm going to go for top 3, as there is a spinner further down the field, and I think that's Simply Superman that has spun. Yeah, the Irishman has spun through turn 14, that's the Beatles of Fluxes. Hopefully not going to be repeating that, like De Resta and Alonso through there. But my top 3, I'm going to go a bit circumstant. I'm going to go Kazizel for the win. I think this is his track. He's got to really excel tonight. Kazizel out on top for me. Tom will finish in second. And for third, I'm going to have to go Harry Banks. I think Harry has got a really good chance there. Watch out for Mashira, watch out for Noisy. If they're on form as well, it's going to be quite an interesting race as we are about to get going. The 5 red lights are now coming on here in Brazil for the penultimate round of the championship. Long hold, but it's lights down the way. We've gone. Perpetuum reacts quicker. Perpetuum off the line, very like a scolded cat. And everyone's down on the inside line, in towards turn 1. Kazizel on the outside line, and there's contact between them both. And Kazizel comes across on the line. Perpetuum risks it for a chocolate biscuit, does not get through. Kazizel leads the way. Isotopic in second, Tom in third, and now Tom running down towards the Zeta, the Largo. Kazizel's under pressure from Isotopic, and Isotopic tries to go all the way around the outside of Kazizel. Doesn't manage it, and Kazizel holds the lead. Break FN has dropped a couple of positions off the start. Perpetuum caught up in the incident because it'll really trying to get warmth into those tyres, I think, and that's why he's struggling so far in this race, because this leads the way though. Isotopic in second, Tom in third, side by side further down the field. Naughty on the back of Mashiro. BreakFN fighting side by side with Funky Chicken, and BreakFN just about holds on to that position. The white Red Bull still in 14th, still in 13th, I should say. Funky Chicken in 14th position. We try and go all the way through, and everyone's through safely. Tom right on the back of Isotopic, however, coming out now through Jun Sao at turn 12, and towards the end of the first lap, it's Kazizel who leads. Isotopic in second, Tom in third, York in fourth. We're right on board then with the man in P3. And it's going to move further down the field. Lynx is looking on the back of Funky Chicken. Harry Banks is looking on the back of Simply Superman. And Perpetuum is already trying to make progress. And he's through on Tiago. Up into 16th position he goes. And Lynx trying to fight all the way around the outside line at Funky Chicken. Gets the move done. The Williams sails around the outside line. Lovely stuff. And Lynx is through and he's into P14. Kazizel, however, leading the way. Tom really pressurised him down and towards someone. It looked like Isotopic might have just used up a bit more EOS, and that is dividend because, look at that, 52% for Isotopic, and it's 76% for Tom. Frankie Fro was just made a slight mistake coming out of turn 5, and now Benny is side by side with him, trying to go all the way around the outside of 6 and 7, and then toward Loanha at turn number 8. Loanha at turn 8, and then it's Cotterville at turn 10, because this is allowed on top though. A second is the gap. Isotopic in second, Tom in third, York in fourth position. Looking further down the field as well, still got battles going on up and down the field. Perpetuum tries to go all the way around the outside of Cotterville at turn 10. Impressive stuff, he's on that sort of soft compound of tyres and is mincing his way through the field. Perpetuum, after that spin, after getting contacted, nearly spins it coming out of turn 12. Lucky to keep the car going. BreakFN is now through on Harry Banks. Harry Banks just swiftly lets him through, and I think he realises that the connection might not be on his side. So BreakFN through, the little weave there indicates the thank you from BreakFN, and he's through and he's into P12. Funky Chicken on the back of Perpetuum, locks up slightly. And running down in towards the Decida del Lago once again, because this leads the way. Isotopic in second, Tom in third position. And Tom will look to try and get Isotopic this lap around on the run-up in towards turn 1 for as long as Kazizel is outside of a second. BreakFN is trying to get a move on the back of Simply Superman. P11 and 12, and the Brit right on the back of the Irishman. Thought about launching it there down in towards turn 8 of Loranha. Doesn't get the move done. But Kazizel still on top. Isotopic in second, Tom in third, and as I mentioned, the top 4 just beginning to break away slightly. York looks like, Tionis I should say, looks like he's struggling on those tyres, and the gap is around 9/10 of a second. Is actually running out wide. There goes Noisy. Simply Superman now just in front of it as well. But I'm going to flick on board as Tionis runs wide and Volakongan is through and he's into 5th, and now Tom is going to try and get Isotopic all the way down in towards turn 1. It's going to be side by side, however. Tionis is coming back at Volakongan, and Volakongan does not have any DRS, and Tionis is back through, and Frankie Fro is going to join in this as well. 3 wide nearly in towards turn 1, and Frankie Fro now through the centre message gets the move done. The Australian sails past the Norwegian, and he's into P6. Maybe Volakongan's tyres just overwhelming slightly, and now watch out because Benny, the German, is right on the back as well, and the German, is he going to risk it? No, he's going to not do an Abertribby rack and try and go all the way from the outside of there. Otherwise, it could have been a gimme a man after midnight. Benny in P8, Volakongan in P7. And that was probably the worst ABBA song I could ever use, to be honest, because this leads the way. Isotopic in second, Tom in third, and York in fourth position. Tionis there in 5th, Frankie Fro in 6th, Volakongan in 7th. Let's have a look at the position gains actually early on. And you can see Perpetuum obviously losing 11 positions. Most positions gained, 4 positions by Simply Superman. Perpetuum again on the back of Harry Banks, and these two were title contenders coming into Italy, and obviously they're not now. And Harry Banks and Perpetuum, Harry Banks one of them is, but Perpetuum isn't, and Perpetuum now has got to try and excel on the run up in towards turn number 1. Isotopic is closing up on Kazizel in towards turn 1 as well, for way battle for the lead developing. BreakFN is going to sail past Noisy down in towards turn 1 as well, and Perpetuum is going to get past Harry Banks down the inside line. Nearly chops off the Red Bull slightly, but he is through, and now Tom right on the back of Isotopic as well in towards the Decida del Lago. Doesn't get the move done because this leads the way. Isotopic second, Tom in third. Tom runs out wide, he's running in the dirty air, and look at this, the Mercedes is almost pushing Isotopic through this race, and York is just sitting there in behind, going to conserve and harvest the ERS. And honestly, he's in the best position out of everyone in the top 4, because York is there, ready to bounce. If these guys get battling, They will, and look at the gap to Tionis. Tionis is 2.3 seconds behind them. There's a slight tap there by Tom, coming out through turn 10. He's now going to try and dip under in towards jumps out turn 12. Doesn't get the move done, because Izzle still leads the way. Isotopic really becoming a roadblock. Out on track, and now Tom, right in the slipstream. Right in the slipstream, on the back of Isotopic, and now it's going to be 3 wide and towards turn 1, because look at Kazizzle, they're closing up very quickly, and now Kazizzle could be swamped. Around the outside goes Isotopic and Tom, so Isotopic and Tom are now into first and second, and Kazizzle has been absolutely found out there in terms of the pace, and now look at Jorg, because Jorg is now coming at Kazizzle, and Kazizzle running down at Tom. Tom runs at Isotopic down in towards the seat of Delago, and now through turn 4, Tom is in the lead, Isotopic in second, Jorg down the inside line is going to repay the favour on Isotopic. Brilliant battle for the lead of the race, and now Isotopic tries to send it around the outside line, and now Kazizzle through Pinera at turn 6, now through turn 7, just cut out, didn't want to risk it for a chocolate biscuit, and Tom leads the way. Jorg in second, Isotopic in third. Look at how quickly that has changed from a lap ago. Kazizzle was in the lead, Kazizzle's now down in P4. Isotopic through, Jorg through, Tom through, and that is simply the DRS being used to absolute full effect. And now Kazizzle is the one that is going to try and find a bit of a toe now on the back of Isotopic and Jorg. But Tom leads the way, 0.5 of a second. Look at Jorg though, closing in all the time on Tom. This could be a move down in towards turn 1, I think. However, he's not using up as much ERS as what he would hope, and now he's not going to get the move done. Kazizzle not going to get the move done either, and they now filter through as they are. And Tionis, because of that slight gap in between the groups, top 4 obviously fighting for themselves. Tionis is catching. Tionis is catching the Norwegian, and he's 1.6 seconds in behind. The gap is 2.3 as Jorg sends it down the inside line, and he's been spun. Jorg has been spun and collects Isotopic, collects Kazizzle as well. That was not on, and I think Jorg, that was his own doing, to be honest there. Isotopic recovers the car. Frankie Fro is going to now be through into P4. Tionis is through and he's into P3. Carnage on lap 7. Tom leads the way. Kazizzle in second, Tionis in third. And to be honest, Jorg, that was his wrongdoing, and that is similar to Vettel 2012, lap 1, turn 4, where he spun and got collected by a Williams, nearly the same around, this time of course in the Mercedes. His own fault, I've got to be honest in that, shouldn't have risked it. And Jorg now down into P13, and Isotopic as a result of that has got damage, and he's going to be very, very lucky to try and get back in this race. And now, all of a sudden, that breaks everything up, because Tom leads the way, 2.1 seconds, as the fight now for 7th position. Perpetuum on the inside on a break FN will sail past. Benny has gone past on Tionis as well, and he's through and he's into P5 just ahead, so Perpetuum now through and he's into 7th. Jorg's still staying out, he hasn't got any damage, which I'm glad to report, but Tom leading the way, Kazizzle in second, Frankie Fro in third, and now Benny, side by side with Volakonga, down in towards turn 4 to see the Delago. Can he get the move done? Just about. The AlphaTauri is still there now, coming up the hill and towards Pinera at turn 6. This will be bold and brave and brilliant if I've ever seen a move. And Benny tries to go all the way around the outside. It's the inside line that will favour. However, the outside line now coming through 7. That is brilliant by the German. Benny is through on Volakongan, and he's through. He's into P4. Absolutely sensational stuff by the German. And now brings Tionis Volakongan into play as well. Tionis is now down into P6 after getting caught up in that incident, I think, as well. I think he has got slight damage. He's really struggling in terms of the tyres as well. But Tom leads away Kazizzle in second. Frankie Fro suddenly is up into the podium positions. Isotopic now obviously into the pit lane. He's on to set a soft compound tyre, so he's going to stop towards the end of the race. Let's run on board Benny and see if he can get the move done down and towards someone. Look at the closing speed that the German has got. That AlphaTauri is so quick in the straight line, gets the move done down and towards someone. Beautiful car positioning, and Benny is soon he's into P3, and he might be the one to watch out for in this race. Starting obviously inside the top 10, I think felt very unfortunate to be starting within the top 10. Gets the move done, and now look at Tionis down in the inside line. Volakongan gets the move done, so Tionis is through and he's into P5, and further down the field, Break FN and Simply Superman going side by side. Maybe a slight push to pass there, and now we've got 3 wide almost in towards Pinera as Lynx just watches on and behind. Break FN and Simply Superman, and again Simply Superman channels his inner Benny, and Simply Superman is through and he's into P10. Great battling, obviously with the bit of contact taken away. This race has been great. Tom leading the way, Kazizzle in second, Benny in third, Frankie Fro in fourth. So I have to clean my thought to try and keep it going. Funky Chicken is through and he's into P14. Mashu, I think, to spot on the inside curb. Look at Lynx, however, on the back of Jorg. And look at the gap now that Kazizel's got over Benny. 2.5 seconds. However, Benny has got a big old train in behind him. Perpetuum, however, into the pit lane from 7th. And this is not a bad call at all, I think, from Perpetuum to come in. I don't think he's got front wing damage. However, I think there is a front wing change going to be happening. No, there's not. Perpetuum in for a set of medium compounded tyres. Whether they will get to the end of the race remains to be seen. 26 laps. I think they can do 26 laps, to be honest. It should be quite fine to try and make. And now, Lynx tries to attack break down in towards turn number 4. As Topic new fastest lap of the race. And Tiago on the back of Mashiva as well. Lap 10 out of 36, goodness me, I'm going to have to try and get through this while conserving my voice, because honestly, this is quite bad. Tom leading the way, because this is in 2nd, Benny in 3rd. As I say, really hope you are enjoying this race. If you are, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course. If you are new, we'll run above our leaders, because it looks as if they're going to be coming into the pit lane, I would imagine, this lap around, to try and counteract, obviously, Perpetuum. Tom stays out, because Zizzle stays out as well. Benny will stay out. Frankie Fro stays out. So you can just literally ignore what I've just said. They're going to be staying out at least another lap. But lap 12 to 13, I think it was, on the graphic that came up at the start of the formation lap. And I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if that is actually right for once in terms of the AWS graphics. I know, an AWS graphic, right, is what you're probably thinking. I know. I'm flabbergasted as well. Tom leading the way, because this is in 2nd, Benny in 3rd. And looking on board, Lynx tries to pull to the inside. On the brake effect! Oh my goodness me, nearly into the back of him. Lynx so lucky not to chop off a bit of end plate damage there on his left side. And Lynx just about gets that car stopped. Because if that was, honestly, about 5 meters longer, Lynx would have been into the back of him. Simple as that. And brake effect probably would have been taken out of contention, at least for a really good point scoring finish. But thank God that didn't happen. Tom leading the way though, because this will end 2nd. And again, as they come now through, will Tom pit? No, Kazizel doesn't come in either. Benny looks like he's under pressure now from Frankie Fro. And obviously everyone in behind stays out. And Sionis is catching Frankie Fro as well then in towards turn 1. Obviously not going to be close enough for a move. But they are now beginning to group up, and it doesn't look like Benny has got the pace to try and get onto the back of Kazizel. I think they're both at the front too. Obviously they're fought hard earlier on, but they're doing now a sensational job to keep those tyres as much as possible toward the end of this race. Jorg on the back of Simply Superman. It's recovered well since that mistake, obviously. I think it's its own error, to be honest, that mistake. You can watch it back if you want to, but honestly, I think Jorg, probably that mistake has really just affected his rhythm out on track. And honestly, if he can recover from this, he's only got his championship rival 2 positions ahead of him. So at this moment in time, if my calculations are right, we're going to the final round of the season between these two, with still a mathematical chance of Jorg winning the championship, possibly, but it all depends on what is going to happen later on in this race. We're right on board with Tom once again. Tom not in. Kazizel is in. So Kazizel into the pit lane. Benny, is he going to follow through? No. Frankie Fro, no. Tionas and Volakongan south. So Kazizel tries to get the potent undercut around here. As side by side goes Harry Banks and Noisy. We've seen this before. Harry Banks through to the inside line, positions the car perfect. A little bit of front wing damage maybe chipped off from Noisy. However, now Noisy on the back of Harry Banks, because this will filter out in front of Perpetuum. And look at Perpetuum in terms of an undercut as well, because he is going to be flying towards these guys. Noisy on the back, doesn't want to get the move done. Jorg, however, sends it on Simply Superman. That is job done. And Jorg is through now into P8, and he absolutely needed that position from Simply Superman. And his softs, he's got really good tyre wear compared to everyone else. We saw it last week in America, where he had up to 10% less tyre wear on 1 lap younger tyres compared to, I think it was Isotopic, if I'm not mistaken. As Kazizel has retired out the race coming through turn 7. Kazizel is out of the race and a safety car is deployed, and this now throws up a whole different race in terms. Kazizel out of the race, catching through turn 7. I think he got caught in the inside curb, and now everyone surely is going to filter into the pit lane for a set of medium compounded tyres. So lap 13 out of 36. Benny into the pit lane. Frankie Fro, Tionas, Volakongan, Harry Banks in, Noisy in. Everyone's just going to come into the pit lane. They're all going to go for a set of medium compounded tyres. And of course the cars have got to get slowed up. However, if you're simply Superman, try and jump the queue on the back of Jorg. And this is now going to be so effectful for Jorg. Look at where Harry Banks is. Harry Banks is holding up his own teammate. Harry Banks is already out of the pit lane. And look where Jorg is in terms of the championship. Jorg is only getting service now, and Jorg is going to be behind Break FN and Tiago. Jorg is going to be right down the back of the field, I think. This is unbelievable. Jorg for the championship. Obviously, Harry Banks is in P7. He goes for a set of hard compounded tyres. Everyone else on a real mixed strategy. Quite a few on a set of hards, in fact. Harry Banks, Simply Superman, Lynx, and Tiago all on a set of hard compounded tyres. Everyone else is on either a set of softs or a set of mediums. Set of soft runners, Noisy, Funky, Chicken and Machine. Now they're not going to get to the end of the race. No doubt about that. They're not going to get to the end. And if they did, I'd be very surprised. But they're not, because they only last about 14, 15 laps around here, given that. Funky Chicken and Machine, obviously risking that as well. I think everyone on the set of mediums, Perpetuum, you would say he's going to be in trouble, I think. I would say Perpetuum's going to be in trouble towards the end of the race. Everyone else can now make it, I think, on that set of medium compound tyres to the end of the race. It's very good tyre wear around here at Brazil. Something like 3 or 4% a lap on a set of mediums. So these guys should be making it. In Perpetuum's case as well, this safety car could actually help him as well. He's there in P2 and hopefully going to be doing a fantastic job out on track. But lap 15 out of 36, if you are just tuning in, it is little old me, James Head by my own lonesome. As because this will leave the session. We do thank him though for attending. And yeah, Tom leading the way, Perpetuum in second, Benny in third. Tiago, interestingly, is in to serve up a set of medium compounded tyres, I think. Yes, Tiago was in, realised he was on the wrong tyres, and has now came in for a set of medium compounded tyres. And that is not a bad call at all, I think, from Tiago. However, big disadvantage is right down the back of the field. However, if he keeps on going, he's only going to be picking up a minimum of 4 points, which, as I say, minimum of 4 points will really suit. In terms of the championship battle, by the way, I'm calculating up frantically in my head, and I believe currently, because Harry Banks and Jorg were obviously 2 positions away from each other, the safety car has really changed it up, the pit stops have really changed it up, and now, theoretically, out on track, there was 28 points coming into tonight. Harry Banks is in 7th. Now, 7th position, I think, picks up 13 points. Jorg, in 12th, picks up 8 points. With 31 points, I think it is, on the line going into next week, he only needs 3 or 4 points to win it. So I think at this current moment in time, obviously not taking into account the strategies and everything, the safety car will probably come in this lap. Yep, safety car is coming in this lap. Harry Banks, if it stays as it is, and if this race was to stop where it is, he would be our champion for Season 5 of TTML. But all pressure is now on Tom. He is the virtual Bert Malander, he is the virtual safety car out on track, and now, when is he going to say go? I think down into the kink of 15 could be the best way to, best time to go, as Tom will try and eke out to try and string out the field. There's the DRS detection zone, speeding up goes Tom. And he is going to go eventually into the kink of 15. Eventually now he goes, and Tom through into the lead of the race. Perpetuum now is under pressure, and now Benny has got a really good start on him. The 2 Germans now fight down in towards turn 1. Noisy is already through, and he's into 7th. Harry Banks now dropping down the field and caught up in a collision as Break FN. Break FN is round through turn 1. I think he got caught in a bit of contact, and Tom has got a 5-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. I think that was because Perpetuum was ahead, and now Volakongan and Tionas, now the 2 Norwegians go side by side, of which the camera angles will cut, and now Volakongan and Tionas all side by side running in towards Primera, and Noisy on a sort of soft compounded side. Remember, he's going to be quicker than these 2 guys. He's got so much more grip and so much more pace. He lunges it down the inside line on Volakongan. Volakongan realises he's there, and for Noisy, this is game on now for the race win, because he's now through on Volakongan. Lovely move, lovely grip levels as well from that Aston Martin, and he's now through and he's into P6. Next up Tionas, and obviously Tionas might be done down the straight. If he's not careful, Noisy is going to be flying, but Tom, crucially, from him, 5-second penalty. for ignoring the yellow flag. Now that was caused, I think, by Perpetuum going ahead of him underneath the VSC restart, underneath the safety car restart. Noisy now side by side with Chorus. Chorus nearly cuts across, and he does eventually, but in behind he goes. Noisy through and he's into P5. Jorg now through and he's into P9, and look who is up next. Jorg on the back of Harry Banks. The two championship contenders are about to maybe let it go out on track. But Shiro on the back of Lynx. Is he going to look to the inside line? Lynx just backs off slightly down in towards Cedar Largo, and Mashiro sends it down the inside line. So Williams through on his fellow teammate. He's through and he's into P10, and Mashiro just says thank you very much for that one. Weaves to say, well, really nice sportsmanship and gratitude is what we can say. Simply Superman is now into the pit lane as well. Funky Chicken, however, is through, and Lynx is dropping all the way down the field. He's really struggling on that sort of hard compound tyres. Maybe getting in the way. Yeah, I think he is getting out the way of the quicker runners around him. Not surprised, to be honest, unless he's got a little bit of damage which can be afforded. Lynx, 14th position. Back on board, though. Championship lead currently between Jorg and Noisy. Battled, oh, Noisy down the inside line, I should say, on Frankie Throw. It was Jorg I was on about there. Noisy's through and he's into P4. However, Jorg is going to try and get the run on Harry Banks down in towards turn 1 at the centre S's, and I don't think he's going to get the move done. Mashiro, look at how quick he is on that sort of soft component tyres. They're really coming into play. Tomlin leading the way, 1.7 seconds. He's absolutely burned away out in front. Jorg now on the back of Harry Banks. He risked it once, doesn't risk it again. I think he's learned his lesson from earlier on in the race, and now championship contenders do battle. It's like gladiators running up the hill in toward Primera at turn 6. And now coming through Pinheiro, I should say, at turn 6, and then through turn 7, and then at La Manha at turn 8, and then through Pinheiro at turn 9. Ferragura is turn 6, in fact, not Pinheiro. Jorg on the back of Harry Banks, though, still running on board with this. I'll cut on board with Noisy, however. He's on the back of Benny. Runs wide slightly, just taking a little bit of limits there. And he's doing a good job, Noisy. Obviously going to be using up this EOS. He may as well use it up now, because he has got that compound tyres underneath him so far early on in this race. But he's got to be watchful, he's got to be careful, as now Harry Banks is going to be sailed past by Jorg and Mashiro, and now Mashiro on the back of Jorg dives it down the inside line at turn 1, and there's nearly a little bit of contact between them both. Jorg is through and he's into P8, and now we get a whole different situation change, because now Funky Chicken on the back of Harry Banks, and now Mashiro on the back of Jorg, and Mashiro sails past Jorg into Cedar de Largo at turn 4, gets the move done, and he's through into 8th, and Funky Chicken is now through and into through on Harry Banks, and he's through and he's into P10. So Harry Banks now down into 11th. Jorg, suddenly the pendulum has shifted in his favour. He's only picking up a couple of points, but it's a couple of points he needs to try and gain a bit of an advantage going into next week, the season finale in Abu Dhabi. Halfway through though, here in Brazil, and Brazil always likes to throw up a bit of a curveball, Tom leads the way. 2.4 seconds, he's got so much more pace than Perpetuum on 4 lap pressure tyres, and Perpetuum actually just had a major moment coming out of Junsao, and now Benny is on the back of Perpetuum, and now Noisy is on the back of this as well, and look at Noisy, he's absolutely sailing past them, and there's a bit of hand rage. Down the inside line goes Noisy. We saw this with Jorg early on in towards turn 4, and now they're side by side with Perpetuum almost making it 3 wide out the centre S's, and this is great stuff between them both. And now Perpetuum surely is not going to get sandwiched in, and there's a little bit of contact, and I think Perpetuum nearly risked that. Noisy is through, however, takes full advantage of that sandwich moment, and Noisy is through, and he's into P2, and now Perpetuum on the back of Benny. Is he going to try and look in towards Ferragura at turn 6? No, he doesn't, and Tom still leading the way, but all of this battling, he'd be thinking, guys, just battle for your lives, for goodness sake. I've got a 5-second penalty, I want this removed, and honestly, I think he will get it removed, because obviously under that safety car restart, Perpetuum overtook him. It's a bit of an unfair penalty, and hopefully the stewards might have a look into that. And I know for sure Tom is probably going to have a look into that. Perpetuum, however, on the back of Benny, the two Germans fly up the hill through the Sabido Dots boxes at turn number 14. Benny again on the back of Noisy this time. just going to back off, I think. Tiago and Lynx are fighting side by side as Isotopic is going to lunge a move on Harry Banks, and how important this could be. Down the inside line and towards turn 1. Job done, there's an Alpine run, and that's Perpetuum. Perpetuum has spun. So Perpetuum either got caught up in a bit of contact, he was coming late down the inside of somebody, or there was a bit of contact, or he just purely spun it by himself. But now Perpetuum down into P15 and Brick FN through on Lynx, and that is going to be important for Harry Banks moving forward because he's got his wingman, his Red Bull teammate, just in behind. Oh, lap 21 out of 36. My voice is already going, but Tom leading the way, 3.6 seconds, currently holding everything in his grasp, and it looks to me as if Noisy's tyres, he's gone too hard too early. And I think that is why those sort of soft compound tyres are going to struggle. Obviously, with another negative pit stop around 2, it's 18 seconds he's going to be losing in that pit stop. And Noisy now is going to be under significant pressure from Benny, because here comes the AlphaTauri on the back of the Aston Martin. Don't think he even needs DRS to be used up. He doesn't, and Benny through with the DRS only. Then he's into P2. Noisy realises that. Jorg on the back of Mashiro shoves him in towards turn 1. And now, back on board with the battle for P2, because Noisy is going to try and come at Benny once again. He's got the DRS running down in towards turn 4, but doesn't get the move done. Jorg, however, down the inside on Mashiro, tries to get the move done. Just about. He's on the inside line. Inside line prevails. Beautiful stuff by Jorg. He's into P7. And this, more positions gained for Jorg. Not taking into account, obviously, Tom's 5-second penalty, which inevitably, I think, will get removed. Jorg is now through into P7. Doing this on merit. Harry Banks in P11. Hard compound tyres, wrong strategy call, I think. So far in this race. Later on, however, it could be an absolute brilliant strategy call in terms of what he makes. Perpetuum, by the way, down in 15th position, recovered well until that point. And now, Harry Banks is doing his into P10. Oh, this race, honestly, it's just going from strength to strength. Funky Chicken now on the back of Mashiro, and he takes my inside line, which I could in an F2 race around here and could have got reverse grid pull, but still, Funky Chicken, however, Mashiro's going to try and hang it all the way around the outside. No, Funky Chicken is throwing it into P8 on Mashiro, and that penalty, I think, coming back to bite Mashiro, but Funky Chicken throwing it into P8. Harry Banks now, again, on the back of Isotopic, not going to get the move done. And we remain as we are, running down in towards the seat of the Largo. Simply Superman, you've got to feel sorry for him in the pit lane early on. And 23.5 seconds, he needs a safety car really to try and gain his chances back up towards the top end of the field. Tom leading the way, Benny in second, Noisy there in third, Frankie Fromm in fourth. We'll just flick through everyone. There's Jonas in fifth. Position changes by the way. 9 gain for Noisy, 8 gain for Benny, 3 gain for Tom. Only noticeable gain further down the field. Funky Chicken on 6 and Lynx on 4. Everyone else has gained 2 or 1 positions respectively as a result. Now they fly past camera position, running through the kink of 15, down towards turn 1 once again. Mashiro is into the pit lane. So Mashiro into the pit and retires. Mashiro retires into the pit lane. He was having force feedback issues last week, so that might be coming back to bite him. So Mashiro out of the race. Might be force feedback issues. We saw him get quite close to the back of Funky Chicken, but obviously he doesn't want to try and risk it. Lynx, however, might try and risk it. Down the inside on Break FN. Doesn't, and Break FN breaks later and capes the position. P11 he is at the moment in time. Tom leading the way, Benny in second, Noisy in third, Frankie Fro in fourth, and we've still got a third of this race to go, and a third of this race might equal an absolute record, as we have had a spin of Spashiva's car just retiring coming out of the pit lane. Tom leading the way though, Benny in second, Noisy in third. I've got to be honest, driving standards here so far tonight, I've just seen a message from Mike saying it's a destruction, which I really hope it's not the case, because obviously we want driving standards to be as good as possible. I know it's coming up toward the end of the season, but we do not let the standards slip. And honestly, standards of racing tonight in F1, really impressed. Break FN is going to go past Harry Banks, and again, important for the championship. His own Red Bull teammate goes through. Not surprised, he's on a set of medium compound tyres. So Break FN through, and he's into P10. And look at Harry Banks, he just struggles coming out the centre S's. And now we'll try and get the run once again, and his teammate down in towards turn number 4 backs off. Break FN holds into P10. And Harry Banks now down in 11. So 4 positions between Jorg and Harry Banks. You can do the maths yourselves. P7 to P11. As I say, 13 points I think Jorg is going to be getting. And 9 points is what Harry Banks is going to be getting. So Jorg still within mathematical chance next week to try and win the championship. Obviously, very minute chance, I've got to say so. But he's doing a solid job, and he is looking quicker than a few of these guys. However, just catches the moment coming out of Jun Sao, and Funky Chicken nearly followed him off as well. And now coming up the hill once again, lap 27. Oh, lap 26, sorry, about to begin. Tom leads the way, Benny in second, Noisy in third. Frankie Fro in 4th position. And doing a stunning job so far, these guys out on track. Harry Banks now under pressure from Lynx, and now Perpetuum drives it down the inside line on Lynx. And Perpetuum, when there's a position, there's a will and there's a way to try and get through, and Perpetuum is through and he's into P12, and he is recovering again very well. Honestly, if he wasn't caught up in these incidents, he could be winning this. He has got the pace in this stint to try and challenge at least for a top 10 position. But it all depends on this DRS train ahead, because it is Break FN that is leading it, and he's only, what, 1.2, 1.3 seconds up the road? Have to wait and see how that develops, of course. Tom, though, leading the way. Benny in second, Noisy in third. At 21.36, I'm just seeing on board in F3. Judging by the amount of DNFs, yeah, I think I can totally back up Mag's comment in terms of the driving standards. Noisy on the back of Benny, and may have made a slight mistake because Frankie Fro was getting a bit close, and actually Noisy's into the pits. So Noisy into the pit lane. Noisy is into the pits. Is Funky Chicken going to follow through? No. So Noisy into the pit lane. Another set of soft compounded tyre. If a safety car comes out now, this is a great opportunity for Noisy to win this race. However, this is a bad strategy call. He's going to be down in 14th. He's going to be around nobody towards the end of the race either. He's going to be about 10 seconds behind coming out the pit lane. And Noisy, wrong strategy call. He's got 9.3, 9.2, obviously on the thinner line. He's got about 9.34 seconds, 9.4 seconds, we'll put it as. And that is a bit of a shock, because now Noisy into the pit lane. I did say they'd be going two-stop strategy on that set of soft compounded tyre. They can last 20 laps around here, however. I've seen it done before. So Noisy into the pit lane, obviously going to be so much quicker than Tiago. Whether he's going to get onto the back of these guys before the end of the race remains to be seen. If he goes too hard too early on those tyres, he will not get to the back. However, looking at that time gain, Noisy is eating into that advantage. And now coming across the line to start lap 28, Volakongan now on the back of Tionis, and Tionis on the back of Frankie Fro. And we're about to get a battle for third, I think. Frankie Fro struggling in terms of the tyres. That's the top gets through into P7, Perpetuum into the pit lane. Realised that I think that Noisy's came in. So he's on to a set of soft compounded tyres as well. And look at Tionis on the outside line. Nearly like Leclerc and Vettel. Tionis is through on the outside line. Lovely stuff. He had so much speed. Got the move done. The inside line was there. And you thought, no, you know what? I'll just try and mow the lawn slightly. Tionis is there and he's into P3. And look at what this does as well. It gains more points because Noisy's came into the pit lane. Because Perpetuum's came in as well. It gains more points, certainly from Noisy's perspective. It gains Jorg more points, but however it gains Harry Banks more points as well. So it's 14 and 10 points, I think, now, the gap between. So again, 4-point advantage in favour of Jorg. 28 points coming into tonight. It's going to be 24 points. That's less than a race win, therefore championship still going to be up for grabs going into the final race of the season. All dependent, of course, on how that 5-second penalty gets removed for Tom. And now Volakongan on the back of Frankie Fro. Is he going to risk it all the way around the outside line? No, I think he didn't want to risk it there. He tried the outside line. The inside line was probably the more favourable. However, he could have just lunged it and took out both of them. But good stuff there by Volakongan. Didn't want to make a move. He's still in P5. But once again, closing in all the time. Not going to use up any deployment. And he stays in P5 for now. Isotopic, by the way, got through on Funky Chicken, I think. So Isotopic through and he's into P7. And in behind as well, my voice really begins to go now. Lynx on the back of Harry Banks. Not going to get the move done. We've really got 3 battles going on to be honest. Tom obviously is out in front, he's doing his own thing. Benny doing his own thing in second. To be honest, has he got the pace now to try and get Frankie Fro, Volakongan and Jorg onto the back of Benny before the end of this race? Remains to be seen what can actually happen. 7 laps to go after this one's complete. Tom leads the way, Benny in second, and there is Tom, and look at that, 5 seconds now the gap between Tom and Benny, and that is what he needs to win this race without the penalty obviously being applied at the end. Benny in second position, doing a sterling job. Volakongan dives it down the inside on the Australian Frankie Fro, but Frankie Fro says, you know what, you're not coming through, my son. Jorg on the back of Volakongan as well, takes the thinner line, going to get a great run, and now Volakongan is going to be under pressure from Jorg, and Jorg is now on the back of Volakongan. Is he going to risk it around the outside line and towards the Cedar de Largo? No. Is he going to risk getting towards turn 5? Volakongan a little bit wary, and now deployment in effect. Jorg doesn't want to get the move done, and up the hill and towards turn 6 at Ferradura. I think it's safe to say why you wouldn't get the move done that, and Jorg stays in P6. And looking behind as well, Harry Banks' tyres are now beginning to come online. Same with Lynx's, but they've got too much of a gap to try and carry. Funky Chicken really is the only one that could gain Harry Banks' positions at this point. If he comes into the pit lane, realises that set of softs is done, he'll be into the pit lane, he'll go on to a fresh set of soft compound tyres, try and steal the fastest lap as well from Noisy and Perpetuum. And to be honest with Noisy, 2 seconds the gap between him and Tiago. He's caught massively over the last 3 or 4 laps. And now Noisy doing a sterling job there in P13. Lynx on the back, we saw made a mistake in towards Jung Sao. But Lynx P11 still stays that way for now. Tom though leading the way, Benny in second, Sionis in third. As I say, you are tuning in now. If you are just tuning in, you are tuning in to what has already been a kind of an epic race here in Brazil. We've had a lot of battles up and down the field, a lot of overtaking. Driving standards, yeah, they not to write home about. The driving standards have been a little bit poor from a couple, and that is it. F1 so far, providing everyone with a great show, I've got to say. And if you've just tuned in now, honestly, you've picked the right moment to try and ride on board with us, because Tom leading the way, 5.2 seconds. If you're wondering why Tom picked up that penalty, it's because he ignored the yellow flag under the safety car as a result of Perpetuum down there in 14th position, now on a set of soft compound tyre, as a result of him overtaking him before Tom has to go underneath the virtual safety car, underneath the safety car stop. So that's why Tom has got that 5-second penalty. Apart from that, everyone's clean. Tiago's got 3 seconds, and that's it in terms of the penalties. Really good stuff by everyone. Lynx tries to attack Harry Banks in towards turn 1. Noisy attacks Tiago in towards turn 1, and Noisy already gets the move done. So now 3.6 seconds, and what can he do? As now Lynx tries to get those hards online, and now Harry Banks is under pressure from Lynx, and now Lynx tries to sail it all around the outside line. Harry Banks goes a little bit deep. Lynx does not want to try and make this move done. However, in towards Ferradura, not around the outside here, I don't think so. And Harry Banks stays in P10. Lynx, though, he's got those tyres to try and really push Harry Banks. And Harry Banks kind of looks like a shell of his former self tonight. He had a bad strategy call on for his second stint. This is his first stint that he's got onto. That's at the hard compound of tyres. And it was spun, and Volakongan has spun, and Jorg is now through, and he's into 5th. And Jorg is now through, and he's into 5th, and Isotopic through, and he's into 6th. Volakongan spins, we saw that, Insolent Junsao just lost the rear end, and Volakongan has got the DRS actually on Isotopic to try and rein him back in towards turn 1. Not going to get the move done. Break FN now side by side, and is Lynx finally going to get the move done on Harry Banks? No, Break FN however does on Funky Chicken, and that set us off compound tyres. Those are going to be gone. Funky Chicken's tyres are going to be gone towards the end of the race. Look at the blistering on the right side, surely around 80% already. As he doesn't want to risk it, Lynx on the back of Harry Banks. Really good battles up and down the field, as I say. Tom leads the way, Benny in second, Jonathan third. And I think when it comes to it, Tom has absolutely dominated this race. He honestly has ripped this field in a different league and has absolutely stolen away with this. 5.9 seconds the gap, and he's got a 5-second penalty. So he's going to be winning this race unless he makes some sort of an absolute howler of a mistake. he's going to win this race, and win this race quite comfortably. And Benny, speaking of which, I think has just made a mistake, and the gap is now out to 6 seconds. And look at Tom as well. It's like a Sunday drive. He's got 30% EOS still to use up as well. Lynx now on the back of Harry Banks. Is Harry Banks now under pressure from Lynx this time around? Look at Lynx. Look at the straight line speed, and now pulls to the inside line. The Williams side by side with the Red Bull, and the Red Bull will have to try and give way. Lynx on the inside line. Is he going to get them moved in around the outside of the centre S's? No, Harry Banks still stays ahead. And Harry Banks literally keeping every single point alive here, as now Lynx is going to come at him down and towards the seat of the logo. Funky Chicken running up Break FN just in front of them, and now Lynx tries to send it all the way around the outside. Harry Banks is defending for his absolute life, as if his championship means it, and now up in toward Ferrajune. We saw this last time around, and it remains this time around as well. Harry Banks in P10, Lynx in P11, 2.5 laps to go. I wouldn't want to write this battle off just yet between them both, because, as I say, Harry Banks, P10, look who is in behind this as well. Noisy is going to throw his hat into the ring, and this is massively going to help out Aston Martin, not only in the Constructors, but also in terms of Noisy and Harry Banks. This is unbelievable. On to the final 2 laps we go. Tom leads the way. He's pretty much won this. Jonas is gaining on Benny. Down in towards turn 1. Doesn't get the move done. York trying to get the move done as well. And Frankie Fro doesn't. Lynx on the back of Harry Banks again. Look at the straight line speed. Running down in towards turn 1. Not going to commit it enough. And Noisy not too far away from trying to get this move done. And there's a bit of push to pass. And Noisy spun. Noisy has spun. York is up to P4. But Noisy has spun. Coming out of turn 1 and 2, a little bit of contact, dangerous rejoin as well in front of Perpetuum. Luckily the ghosting system kicked in there. And Noisy, he risked it down the inside line. He got forced out wide by Lynx, and Lynx could be apportionate to blame, I think, for that one. I think, honestly, maybe a racing incident, but Noisy's not going to be happy with that. As I was saying, the Aston Martin, it was up to him to try and get past Lynx and Harry Banks, and he failed to do them both, and now he's right down in the back of the field again, and therefore Aston Martin are going to be losing now. York is going to be gaining points, and I think they're just about to get the advantage over Red Bull. However, Red Bull are fighting with 2 of their drivers. Giannis on the back of Benny, coming across the line. Final lap of the race has begun. Tom leads the way. Benny in second. Giannis in third. This battle for second is on now between these guys. Benny and Giannis. Giannis on the back of Benny. Benny, his tyres might have gone a little bit too early, and now Giannis is right on the back. Break FN is through and Volakongan further down the field, and now look at Giannis on the back of Break FN. Dives to the outside line, gonna sail past him down towards the seat of the logo, gets the car stopped. Lovely move by Giannis. Throonies into P2. Benny now into P3, and Giannis has made his move sick, and now he can set it alight. Volakongan and Funky Chicken are side by side. Harry Banks getting involved in this. Lynx is involved in this as well. Nearly like 2x2 Noah's Ark, and now Funky Chicken pushing Volakongan up in towards Ferrajura, and Harry Banks is forced out wide, and now this could let Lynx in on the inside line, and he has to back off with Harry Banks just coming across him, and now Lynx is going to take full contact. Oh, and there's a bit of contact between them both. It's getting a little bit wild and wacky in the final lap of the race. Harry Banks, I think, is going to be pushing the blame. Bjorg, though, 4th position. Tom now running to the line. Tom has won. Even with a 5-second penalty, he wins here in Brazil. Giannis made his move stick. Gonna get the move out for 2nd position. Giannis gets 2nd. Benny in 3rd. Jorg in 4th. Isotopic in 5th. Frankie Fro in 6th. It's going to be side by side. Finally, maybe between Harry Banks and Lynx. Who's going to get it to the line? I think Harry Banks is just going to hold on. He is. Harry Banks holds on. P9 in the end. Lynx in P10, Break FN had a penalty, so that's why he's down in P11. Perpetuum in 12th, Tiago in 13. Noisy, what could have it been for Noisy if he didn't have that contact with Lynx coming out to centre S's? He's probably unhappy with that, but P14, a relatively good result. It could have been a lot better though. Simply Superman to finish in P15, as Tiago has got a 20-second time penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. And that is wrong, because that needs definitely removing. That's a bit of a glitch, I think, we've got there. Simply Superman running to the line. Should be the fastest lap of the race to go with it as well. Fastest lap of the race for him. Yeah, 107.6, I think that was. Simply Superman sets the fastest lap of the race. Driver of the day is awarded by the in-game fans. Benny. Yeah, Benny definitely deserves it. Looking like a spin of George Russell there in the AlphaTauri. But the German unfortunately come up 1-2 short, or 2 positions too short in the end, because Tom to the top spot of the podium. 5-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flag, and he still dominates the race like that. A true and utter driver, one to watch out for in Season 6 certainly, and Tom, well, whatever chance he had of the championship is gone, but he's now in the fight for P3. Tom has won. Giannis in second, drove an absolute solid final lap of the race, got the move done into the Cida de Largo, got the move done into second, and then the German of Benny finishing in P3. And now we wait for the grid order to come through, and there, Tom has won. 2.5 seconds the gap. I think that 5-second penalty now, because of that gap, will remain for Tom, has won it regardless if that 5-second penalty gets removed. Giannis in second, Benny in third, Jorg in fourth, with Isotopic in fifth, Frankie Fro in sixth, Volokongen in seventh, Funky Chicken in eighth, Harry Banks in ninth. These are all provisional results, by the way, but by my calculations, Jorg has gained more points than Harry Banks, and Jorg has really brought the championship fight back into his hands. And it potentially could be less than 20 points, I think, in terms of the championship. Harry Banks there in P9. Lynx in P10, drove a solid race. Couldn't get past Harry Banks in the end. Break FN in 11th as a result of that 3-second penalty. I don't think it'll be removed. Perpetuum in 12th. Unlucky, could have really featured in that race. Noisy again, could have featured. Tiago in 14th. Simply Superman unlucky in 15th. Mashiro and Kazizla, the 2 DNFs in this race. We had 1 safety car, but it's absolutely flown by this race. You can probably tell that my voice has gone again. No interviews as part of my solo commentary, but a really fascinating race in Brazil. The championship fight goes next week to Abu Dhabi. We are going to get a title decider underneath the floodlights. One to watch out for Stewart. I'm going to have a look at the points system at this moment in time as well, and I can confirm to you what we have got in terms of the points system for this season, as my iPad has now decided to absolutely die on me, so I'll try and get that to you in a second. My driver of the day, I've got to be honest, Tom. Drove a solid race. Tom will get my driver of the day, an absolute solid race from the front, and dominated as if his life really depended on it. Fantastic race. Looking at, though, that position, 4th gets 17 points, 9th gets 11. 6 points gain, 22 points I make it between Harry Banks and Jorg into the final round of the championship, and that means title decider. Harry Banks has got pretty much one hand on that championship. Can Jorg take the fight to Harry Banks next week underneath the floodlights in Abu Dhabi? You will have to wait and see. Of course, more action to come for you tomorrow night. TTML F4 and F5. 8 PM UK time. It is Conti by himself, plus maybe one of the special guests, and Pariah and Buck taking you, of course, through F5. And I'll just throw it out there again, PSGL and VRT, or PSGL Esports Cup now, as it's now known. 8 o'clock UK time. You can tune in for that if you want as well, and I'll be commentating alongside Aiden for that, of course. But really hope you enjoyed tonight. I really hope you did. Like, comment, subscribe, take that notification bell, of course, if you are new. And again, really hope you enjoyed it. We will see you next week for the title decider in TTML F1. Harry Banks and Jorg go to the final round of the season to decide who will be crowned TTML F1 champion. But for myself, James Head, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, goodbye.